Welcome back, everyone, to Crime and Entertainment. I'm your host, Hollywood Wade. I'm here with a very special guest. Now, I've been trying to get this nailed down for a few months now. Russ has got a busy schedule, but we are able to get this done and release it on Halloween Day. Now, why this is a big deal is because for any of you that might not know, Russ runs a very, very, very special kind of haunted house. Now, we're going to get into that today, but for those of you that don't know, his full name here is Russ Mckamey. Is that correct, Russ?
You got it.
All right. Now, we'll get into the reason this podcast is going on right here and a little bit more about the house a little bit later on. But first, let's find out a little bit about you. Where are you originally from?
Originally from Southern California. I was born and raised in Anaheim and Fullerton my whole life. And then I joined the military when I was 18, and I was kind of in San Diego the rest of my existence out there. So I've been a Southern California boy my whole life.
Okay, what branch of the military were you in?
Navy for 23 years.
Well, we certainly appreciate your service here at Crime and Entertainment for sure.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
So now, when you got out of the Navy, did you stay in Southern California for a while, or?
I did. I stayed there for another 13 years. I transferred over as a veterans advocate. So I was one of the guys who were helping the military folks separate. So I was always working on the bases for the last 35 years, really. And I would be the guy that would help them with their medical need and care, work with them through the Veterans Administration. So I did that for 13 years after I got out of the military. And then once that job shifted, they wanted me to move to Washington, and I didn't want to do that. So I thought, well, I'll just sell my house in San Diego and go find something somewhere. Didn't really matter where it was at. I'd find something. It didn't matter what state. It could be Alaska. I didn't care. It could be Hawaii or Alabama. It didn't matter. And I just wound up in Tennessee. I needed something where I had property, where I had, property that I actually could build on. Mm-hmm. So it needed to be something that wasn't zoned and coded.
Right.
And so I've got a hold of Tennessee. That's kind of where it's been. And that's where the haunt's at now.
Now, for this haunt, before we get there, did you have like a love or a fascination with scary movies coming up, or haunted houses in particular, or something with special effects? What kind of drew you to putting together this haunted house that you have?
Kind of all of the above. I've always been a real cinematic kind of guy. So I'm always about movies. I love film. I love not particularly horror. I mean, I do like horror films as well, but I'm just a big advocate and a fan of motion pictures in general. Especially movies from the 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s. I like all the older stuff in the film noir stuff, the black and white, and Orson Welles, and I love all that stuff. A lot of stuff that your audience is probably going, what? Orson Welles? Who's Orson Welles? but I like all that stuff, and I was always into acting, and I wanted to be an actor when I was in school, and I was a theater arts major in college, and so it was just kind of a natural progression. And I always loved Halloween, and when you do Halloween, it's kind of like putting on a big play. It's right. Just another form of showbiz. It's just entertainment, right? So when you put on a haunted house, it's just putting on this big production. And it's no different than putting on a college play or whatever. It really isn't.
Right. Now, when did this brainchild start for you? When did you kind of get the idea of, hey, this is what I want to do?
Well, actually, it started when I was like 3 or 4 years old. My dad would take me out trick-or-treating, and he would take me to these different places that had like extra special things going on. Folks that did something special on their porch, or built a little mini haunted house you could go through, or the ones that put the extra love and care in, right? The ones that have something built up special. And it always struck me when I was a little guy, walking around, going to all these houses that had extra stuff set up and the props and the cool special effects. I thought that was the neatest thing ever. And I kind of got hooked on it right then. I loved the whole idea of putting on a show. I didn't really understand it, but I sure knew I liked what I saw and all the extra craziness that was going along with it. I loved it. So I really got hooked at a real young age. It's kind of hard to believe at that age, but I remember it clearly.
Yeah. So when did you first break ground on Mckamey Manor?
Well, there's always been some version of Mckamey Manor going for the last 35 years. So yeah, about 35 years ago, it didn't matter whether I was in a single apartment room, I was doing the manor. It didn't matter if I was out to sea in a ship. I mean, I was out to sea for 17 years of my 23 years. So I was on a seagoing command. So we were gone a lot, which meant I was gone for a lot of Halloween. So I would actually build a haunted house on the ship for the cruise. And so it didn't matter where I was at. I was always involved with Halloween some way. I remember when I would go to these different ports and I traveled all around the world and I loved it. I would always go out looking for unusual props that I could buy. People thought, what am I doing? What's this guy? It's crazy. But I found some really wild things in different countries that I'd bring back in the States and use for my shows later on. So it was kind of interesting. I had good access to a lot of fun things.
Yeah. Now, when you first opened it up, was that Mckamey Manor? Was that what you named it? Or did you kick around other names?
No, it was always called Mckamey Manor. It wasn't always like it is now. It wasn't this extreme haunt that it is now, but it was always called that. And it started out like a normal haunted house, but still, I say that, but that's not really true, because even though we weren't doing all the extreme stuff, it was still very interactive. It was very much cinematic. It felt like you were walking through your own movie. That's always been my goal, even back in the early days, was to make people think or feel like they're walking in their own horror movie.
Right.
And then as the years progressed, it just became a natural progression for it to get hyped up and to get more extreme and more interactive, because the audience, they loved it. And you can't go backwards. You know, if you're getting all this positive input about how much they're loving what you're doing and all the interactivity, you can't reverse it and go, well, we're going to stop doing that. Instead, you got to keep going forward.
Right.
And after all these years of building it up, year after year after year, it's got to a certain point to where now it's considered extreme.
Right. So you got to keep pushing the envelope. And that looks like it's definitely something that you did. When do you think, around what time period did you notice where it stepped up that next level to where you went from haunted house to getting to that extreme version of what it is today?
I'd say 2007 or 2008, 7 or 8, thereabouts.
Okay.
Yeah, it shifted gears, and that's when people were really taking notice. That's when I started putting out movies, and so yeah, it started getting people's attention about 2007, 2008.
That's what I was going to get into there. What kind of started bringing the eyes to it? You said you put out some movies. Now, were those things that you shot, like kind of just following the patrons that done the house? What was that exactly?
Well, it was a couple of things. It was movies that I made, and it was also shows that picked me up. Like there were some Travel Channel shows.
Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah.
Good. So like, like Halloween Scariest and Halloween Most Crazy, or whatever it's called, something like that. There's a bunch of those that we were selected to be on. There was one on MTV called Route 666, I think it was called. And they picked us up, and so those kind of things got us on the map a little bit, but it was mainly the movies that I made is what really got people talking about Mckamey Manor, for sure. Absolutely. Because it just blew up, and a very wide audience kind of caught on to those and glammed on. And
Right.
it was pretty interesting. I didn't expect that to happen. I wasn't planning that to happen. I wasn't even hoping that would happen, but it definitely took off though.
Now, when you say movies, are you talking about like just movies that you made with skits, or like recording the people going through the house? What exactly does the movie entail?
I've actually done both, but mainly it's the one where I record the contestant taking the tour, and then of course I go back and edit and
Right.
put music to it and sound effects and blah blah, all that good stuff. But I have made a couple of staged movies too. One is called The Last Guest, and that's kind of an interesting little movie that's on my website, which is McKameyManor.com. That's the only official one. Everything else, they're all hate pages and stolen pages and stolen content. Just like the only real YouTube channel is Mckamey Manor Presents. Anything else it's all just, again, it's hate stuff, it's stolen work, it's not legal Mckamey Manor stuff. So Mckamey Manor Presents is the real YouTube channel.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of people I know. I've been a member of your official Facebook group for a while, and we're friends on Facebook as well. And I've seen a ton of, like, I guess you would say, false groups and stuff like that you've got nothing to do with. And if anybody that knows you, you're very interactive on your social media, talking with fans and talking with people. So you know that's not really on the up and up, because you're not even really in there. I don't even think you're in half of those things.
I'm not in any of those other groups. So
yeah. Okay. So when you started building up steam here, has it always been, I don't know if this is the same, but one of the articles that I read was admission for this, you wanted a bag of, was it cat food or dog food? Is that correct?
Yeah. When it first started, we did this a service, a program called Volunteer America, or Feeding America. So we would get cans of real food, and we would give those to this Feeding America group, which gives food to the homeless. So we did that for a few years, and then we got involved with greyhound dogs, because greyhound dogs have a real unhappy lot in life. They go through a lot of stuff in life. They're held in cages their whole life. They don't know anything about toys. They don't know anything about dog treats. They're just like held hostage inside these hot metal cages, and then they make them run, and then back in the cages, and then they take them off to Mexico for their last races. And if things don't happen to them, they don't do well, they kill these animals and they cut their heads off the dogs, and that way they can't track them down, because all the greyhounds have tattoos in their ears, and they know who belongs to who and what have you. That's the way they track them down. So they go to Mexico and they kill these animals. It's really a horrible existence for them. So the only way that these animals can get a better life is if these greyhound rescue societies come into play, and they go to Mexico and they rescue these animals. They bring them back across the border, and they clean them up and try to get them healthy as they can again, and then adopt them out. So a lot of greyhound racing is kind of looked down upon now, but there's still some tracks available that are still racing greyhounds. So long story short, we got involved with a society called Operation Greyhound Rescue, which was in San Diego. And so we changed the cans of people food to cans of dog food for the greyhounds. And so, yes, price of admission has always been, after that point, a bag of dog food got you into the tour. Yes.
Wow. Okay. Now you're an animal lover, I take it. I mean, I know that, from following you on social media, but a lot of our viewers might not. Have you always been an animal lover?
I have. And currently right now I've got 5 rescue dogs who adopted me, you know, when I came out to Tennessee. Unfortunately, I find that a lot of people in the South don't take great care of their animals. I'm not going to try to say everybody, but unfortunately a lot don't. They don't give them proper medical care, veterinarian care. They let them just run loose, and whatever happens happens. And so because of that, a lot of rescues are out there, dogs that need to be rescued. And so 5 of those little rascals found me, and you know, that's why I say they adopted me. They chose me. So they're very sweet, very cute, and yeah. So that's kind of how it is out here.
What's your favorite breed of dog to have as a pet? What's your favorite?
I still like greyhounds. I don't have greyhounds anymore, but greyhounds are just so sweet because they're so appreciative of being rescued. It's like they know it. You know, they've been stuck in this world that's just insane. And then you bring them home and you show them a couch and you give them a toy, and you really have to show them what the stuff is. They don't know. Instinctively, they don't know that a couch is something to lay on. They don't know that this toy is something to chomp into and have a good time with. They don't know what a snack is. It's really sad, but they catch on real quick, and then they're just so happy, and they're just so in love with you for rescuing them. It's very sweet. So, but right now I've got a big golden retriever who's just an amazing little dog. His name's Milo. I've got a black Labrador, and her name is Malibu. And I've got this crazy white dog whose name's White Dog. And I've got this gray heeler, blue heeler, whose name's Grayson. And then I've got the mother of Grayson and the white dog, and her name's Baby. And they all get along great. And you think it's a handful, but they, you know, they're their own little pack, and they have doggy doors, so they go in and out whenever they want to, and they have all the food they want. And so, yeah, they're living a happy life. So it's all good.
That's good. I got a husky. I don't know if you have any experiences with huskies. I'll try to pull up a picture here. That's if you can see him.
Let me see. Oh yeah. Nice.
Yeah, he's a really cool dog, man. I've never owned a husky before, but I tell you, it's the best dog I've ever had. Now they shed an awful lot. I got 2 Roombas in my house that go off at certain times of the day to try to keep the hair under control. But other than that, man, I wouldn't trade him for anything in the world. Very good with kids, adults. I mean, I think he would be a great dog for like that you would take in hospitals that would go and try to, you know, hang around sick kids or something like that. I think he would be wonderful and stuff like that. So I'm an animal lover too, for sure.
I knew I liked you for a reason. There you
go. When it started getting to that extreme level, now was that particular one, was that still out in California when you were out there?
Yes, that was in San Diego at the time. And again, it was just a natural progression. It just made sense to keep on bumping up the ante. Right. And, you know, so it wasn't really planned. It really wasn't. People think I had this crazy plan to do it, but I just wanted to be more inventive, and I wanted to be more creative. And that's kind of the path it went down. Because I only could do so much, and then we had to jump the shark, man. We had to jump the shark and do something totally different and wild, and get people talking and get them all upset and get them all spun up. And so that's kind of what happened.
Now, around this time, how did people? Because I can't remember quite back that far. I don't know if Facebook was as big then as it is now. How did they get in contact with you to take the tour?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, no one's asked me that before. I'm trying to think, how did that happen back in 2007 and 8?
You kind of have to go pre-Facebook, because nowadays that's what everybody's go-to is. And I don't know, I guess it was MySpace, maybe. I don't know.
No, so what it was that people just knew we did the show every Halloween. They knew there was a big production there for years and years and years. So it was strictly word of mouth.
Mhm.
So people would come there, they'd go through it, they'd be just blown away by it. And then they'd go tell their buddies. And then pretty soon there were like people literally waiting for 10, 12, 15 hours. They were just waiting out in front. It was crazy trying to get through because we only let in 4 or 5 people at a time. And we had lines around the block. It was nuts. So that's how that happened. It was just pure word of mouth. And so most people did not get in on any given evening unless they actually got there so early in the morning to get a chance to make it happen. It was pretty crazy.
What time frame did you run it? Was it just kind of like through October or a few weeks or a few months?
That's a good question. If it started first with just Halloween, and then it kicked over to the full week of Halloween, and then it started the 2 weeks of Halloween, and then all of October, and then it started out with September and October, and then it just started kicking in like around the clock at that point in time.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's cool. Yeah, we've got a pretty decent one here where I live at. I'm in South Carolina, and there's one in Bishopville that's called Scream Acres, and they kind of ran like the whole month of October. They would even go a few weeks into November, but it would start, I want to say, around not long after Labor Day, like a week after Labor Day. They would go ahead and start it like only for a few days, only on the weekends. And then once October kicked in, then it was every week. And they would typically try to get a movie star or somebody in the horror genre to come out a specific weekend. Now, people that I know, I miss Kane Hodder. He was there. That's, he donned the Jason mask for quite a while. Now, one that I did get to see was Sid Haig, who recently passed away about a year ago now. He's, House of 1,000 Corpses, Devil's Rejects, but I got to sit and talk with him for a while. He was a real cool dude. One of the guys that played Michael Myers, I can't remember which one, Tony Moran, I think was his name. And then the guy, he was in the Saw movies, but it wasn't Jigsaw. He was the cop that took over for Jigsaw. I think it's Costas Mandalore is his real name. Yeah. So that was a pretty cool deal. And they paid those guys a lot of money, man. I want to say I heard that they paid Kane Hodder. It was like almost $45,000 to come.
Really?
Yes. Yes. A lot of money. But those things bring in a lot of money, because I think it's like 25 to take to go through it. And then you can get a fast pass and jump the line for like an extra 20. Which a lot of people do. And so you're talking $45 a person. And I mean, it's just rows and rows and rows and rows of people. So they could probably, I would imagine, make that back in a week easy. I would imagine.
You bet.
Yeah.
So let me ask you. So how were those guys in person? Did they live up to the hype, or did they disappoint you in any way? Or
I didn't meet Kane Hodder, but I didn't hear great things. I heard that he was kind of a diva. Like now the area where this house was in the sticks. It was in Bishopville. There's nothing in Bishopville really. So the only hotel that he agreed to stay at was one in Columbia, South Carolina, which is about an hour or so away. And it had to be a hotel that had a heated toilet seat.
No way.
Yes. Yeah. And it had to have a heated toilet seat. So that's some of the stories that I heard. He was a little short with some of the guys. Not the best reviews, but now Sid was laid back. I mean, he done anything anybody asked. There was people up there wanting to take Snapchats of him going tutti fucking fruity and pictures and everything. And I got a picture with him. My daughter and some of her friends, they all got pictures. And I mean, he had stuff there. He would autograph for you stills of him from the House of 1,000 Corpses, and you could buy them if you wanted. It wasn't required, but I mean, he was a really cool, laid back dude. Costas was cool, really laid back, talked with everybody. It wasn't like they're just rushing you in and rushing you out type of deal. They stayed and, talked and bullshitted with everybody.
That's good. That's good to hear then.
Another guy that was a pretty cool one he played Leatherface in, I think it was Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. His name was Ari Mahaloff.
Okay.
If I don't know if he's done much else other than that. I mean, I know he donned the chainsaw in part 3. That's really what I know him from, but he was pretty cool. He was there one year
Nice.
and he took
That's nice
about it. Yeah,
I
it's
like
always
that. That's
nice when you see those guys, man, and they're down to earth and you know they're cool people and can have a conversation when they don't act like they're better than anybody else. It's always
right,
cool.
right. Because you never know. Sometimes it's scary meeting people that you kind of fan over because they're not what you think they are. And then it's pretty disappointing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good news then. Good to hear.
Yeah. So when you started ramping up and getting to the more extreme, now I seen a article that I had read a while back, and I figured I'd just ask you and get it straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. It said there's a 40-page waiver you got to sign. Is that accurate?
Yeah, 40 to 50. Yeah.
40 to 50.
40 to 50.
Now, is that
and
you got to read every page or you got to sign each one of those pages?
You got to read and sign it. And that's really when the show begins, because the waiver is a huge part of how I get inside their head.
Mm-hmm.
So just between you and me and who's watching, the waiver is a psychological part of the game that's very important, because in the waiver it's going to express completely exactly what's going to happen to you down the road. And I'm not pulling any punches. It's going to tell you exactly what's going to happen. It's going to explain how to get into and get out of every single stunt. It's going to tell you how each stunt operates. So you're going to know all the answers. You're going to know everything. It's up to you to remember all this when you're in a very stressful situation, because when you're stressed out, it's hard to remember what I taught you.
Right.
So it takes about 4 hours to get through the waiver process. And in those 4 hours, I'm really going to get inside your head, because you're going to know everything. It's easier if you don't know what's going to happen. But if you know what's going to happen and what's coming up, and you start to worry about that, and you start to, like, you know, I can get the chinks on the armor that way. I can find out what kind of things are getting under their skin a little bit that way. Mm. And I can kind of hone in more on those areas of things that I know are going to scare them more. So it's a way for me to learn about them. It's a way for them to legally know everything that's going to happen, because I cannot leave anything out. Yeah. They have to know what it is before they go, because what I can't have them do, especially here in Tennessee, is to come out and say, look, I didn't know you were going to pull my tooth out. I didn't know any of that. And it's like, yeah, you did. On page 33, we went into great detail and talked about pulling the tooth out, right? So they're going to know everything and how it works, the secrets. They know everything. And that makes it scarier for them going in. Trust me.
Pulling a tooth out.
Well, yeah, you got to pull teeth out and fingernails and all that good stuff. Sure.
Right on. All right. Yeah, that's definitely something you want to keep in mind when you're reading that waiver, folks. If you're going out there to take this tour.
But you also, let me say this though too, that everybody gets 2 off-limit items. So it makes it real stressful, because after they go through 4 hours worth of waiver, I ask them, okay, you've heard everything that's going to happen to you. What 2 things do you not want to happen to you? What 2 things are you taking off the table? And that's all about choices. The manor is all about your own personal decision. So you have to decide what it is that you do not want to have done.
Wow. So, I mean, I would like to think maybe one of mine probably would be, let me keep all my teeth. We don't have to spend a whole lot of time on it, but what's a few things, some of the more common ones that people say, all right, not for me, you can take that one off. Throw us a few of them there.
So the most common one is the tooth situation. They want to keep all their teeth.
I can imagine. Yeah.
The next one would be a fingernail.
Yeah. Yeah.
And after that, it would be the hair for the women. The women don't want to get their head shaved off. head, eyebrows, eyelashes, that type of thing. The other one is dealing with critters, dealing with scorpions and spiders and snakes and cockroaches all in your mouth, coming out of your mouth, all over your body, and and rats and field mice all through your costume that you got on. And so yeah, those are the big ones that people don't want to really have much to do with. Everything else, like fire, getting buried alive, water, those are all just commonplace things that are going to happen at the manor. But some of the other things, yeah. And let me say this too. I don't personally pull your tooth out. You pull your own tooth out. I don't do it. You do it.
I don't know if that makes me feel any better about it.
I know. Well, I'm not going to lay a hand on you. Nobody at the new tour, nobody in Tennessee will lay a hand on you. No one's going to rough you up. It's not like the San Diego days. San Diego, we had all these rough, tough actors getting in your face. In Tennessee, it's very psychological. It's just you against me. It's just my noggin against your noggin. It's just you not letting me get inside your head. Mm-hmm. If you cannot let me get inside your head, you'll be fine and you'll go far. But if I have to pull out the hypnosis, for example, and the little mind control techniques I use, it gets to be very tough to get around me if I break out that. And normally I do. And if you've ever seen the movie called And Then There Were None, it shows everybody who's ever attempted to take the tour and what happened to them and how things ended up for them. And it always the same way. They are just distressed. They're panicked. They're stressed out. They quit. They say, my name is so-and-so. I came all the way from South Carolina, Mckamey Manor, ate my lunch, took my milk money, kicked my butt, and I quit. And they all say the same thing. So you got to realize there's a reason why that's happening, because it's only one-on-one. So how can one person get that effect on every single person? I don't care if you're a Navy SEAL, a Green Beret, Special Forces, law enforcement. How do I do it? What's my trick? And the trick is all psychological. It's all that hypnosis stuff. And you can believe it if you don't want to believe it. You don't have to, but you'd be wise to watch that movie And Then There Were None, so you can see what happened to every single person. Now, it's legit, folks.
Now, is that on your website that you spoke of earlier?
Yes, it's at Mckamey Manor Presents. In fact, it's the only movie that I require everyone to watch if you're going to take the tour. It's an hour and 46 minutes. The first portion of it, the first half of it, is just me talking to you, explaining the rules, explaining to you what the manor is and what it's not. I debunk a lot of the rumors. I don't want people thinking it's San Diego, because it's not San Diego. It's worse than San Diego. And that's why I offered $20,000. I didn't offer $20,000 to get through it in San Diego, because you can get through that. You can listen, just between you and me, if someone's yelling at you, someone's pushing you around, you can deal with that. You can wrap your head around that. Go, okay, good. I'm getting yelled at. I'm getting shoved. Big deal. You can get used to that. But what you can't get used to is the stuff that we do now, which is purely psychological. You can't get used to the hypnosis, because I can make you believe whatever I want to make you believe. And I know you have people out there right now who are going, oh, you can't hypnotize me. Really? Okay. Well, watch that movie then and see what happens to everybody else. And you tell me that you're any different than they are. You're not. It'll happen as well.
So are you kind of referencing, I know we spoke earlier about the Saw movies, and you said you don't lay a hand on anybody. Is the people are kind of put into situations to where they get past this particular part of the haunt or the house, they have to do these type of things. They have to do whatever it takes to get to the next level, so to speak.
Exactly. That's right on the money. It's just like a real life Saw movie. You're going to be in these really elaborate traps, scenarios, big epic scenarios, not just little stuff that, oh, I got to figure out how to get my hand out of something. No, 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 no. You're going to be in some really large, elaborate traps and sets. And yeah, you're by yourself or with a buddy, but going with a buddy is harder because I'm going to pit you two against each other. It's going to be a competition, and you either have to work well together or you have to throw the other person under the bus to try to get on and move and leave him in the dust. So you find out who your friends are real quick when you go in with a buddy. Yeah. But or a married couple. I love it when married couples go through, because you find out who's the boss and you find out who's in charge and you find out who's going to throw who under the bus real quick. But yeah, it's a live action Saw movie. Absolutely perfect way to explain it.
Now, in California, you mentioned up there, was it a little bit, well, start with, let me get back. You said the 20 grand. When did the 20 grand become a thing where you would offer that if anybody made it through? And to specify, what is making it through? Do you have a time limit, or is it just so many scenarios? Once you make it through, that's it?
That's a good question. Okay. So the 20 grand started about 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. And just to let you know, nobody's ever won it.
Yeah, I did know that.
and there's like this rumor. Let me clear up this one rumor. There's this rumor that this Marine, I always hear about this Marine that people say we pulled out at the last minute before he won the money. First off, that was 6-7 years ago. That was in San Diego when there was no money being offered. And he didn't get pulled out because we didn't want him to win. He got pulled out because he had hypothermia, and safety is always paramount. If you got the shakes, you got a hypothermia, you can't stand up and you're passing out. Well, that's not very responsible for me to keep you going, because my job is not to hurt you. My job is to entertain you. Mm-hmm. I'm never there to mentally hurt anybody or physically hurt anybody. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to dispel that rumor. People always bring that guy up. Oh yeah. And his name was Russell. So you can look up his movie and watch his movie. His name is Russell. You can find it on Mckamey Manor Presents, and you'll see that was San Diego. No money was going on in San Diego. And so we did the 20,000 for about 3 years. But what I found though, is that I got a lot of knuckleheads. Mm-hmm. I got a lot of people trying to come through that really shouldn't have been taking the tour, because they were doing it for the wrong reason. Right. They were doing it because they thought this $20,000 was going to be easy, and they thought it was going to change their life. And trust me, the Manor is going to win every time, because you have to last 10 hours. And you may not think 10 hours is very long, but can you imagine 10 hours worth of crazy Saw type stunts for 10 hours? That's going to beat anybody down, right? And it does.
Yeah, so I can imagine. Yeah, 10 hours is a long time.
That's a long time. And
that's a long time to do anything.
Yeah, you got that right. And that doesn't count the contract. That's a whole different time right there. That counts once you get inside the tour. So what happened then is we got a lot of people that shouldn't have been taking the tour, mm-hmm. wrong attitudes, just doing it for the wrong reason. So I stopped the money a little bit ago. Stopped the money about, I don't know, I guess year and a half ago. Mm-hmm. But upon request, I'm going to give you an exclusive right here. Upon request from a lot of people, here's your exclusive. They wanted to go ahead and start the money back up again. So as of last night, whatever date it was, the 26th or something.
Yes.
We're gonna start the money once again, but it's gonna be, I'm sorry to say, it's gonna be only $10,000 this time. Because it was risky for me to put down 20 grand every time. It was risky because so I feel much better putting 10,000. It's still a lot of money. If somebody can make it 10 hours, $1,000 an hour, then they deserve that 10 grand. So yes, as of last night, the money is back on the table, but people have to be screened to get here. we're really careful about who we want in. And you
Right.
have to go through a complete process. And we can talk about the process later if you like. I really do want people to know what it takes to get in. You just don't walk up. You got to be selected. So
Right.
hopefully later on in the process of today's show, we can talk about that so people know.
We can go over now if you want to do it. What's some of the screening
Okay.
requirements? Yeah, for
Let's
sure.
do that. All
And
right.
before we
Let's
do
talk
that,
about.
folks, you heard it here first. Crime and Entertainment exclusive. The money is back on the table. 10 grand for 10 hours. There's no need for me to even think about what I'll do with that money because I know I wouldn't make it. But for people that might, here goes the screening, what you're going to have to go through. Take us through it.
That's right. All right. So first off, you have to meet basic requirements. You got to be 18 to 20 years old. If you're in that window, you have to have parental consent. I get it. I know you're an adult, but I don't care. If you're not 21, you're going to have mom or dad on camera still say that you are authorized to do this crazy stuff. We don't want anybody, we don't want family members causing trouble down the road. Okay. So 21 or above, obviously you don't need anybody. Okay. You need to go through a drug test. There will be an on-site drug test. You have to go through a physical. You have to have an actual cardio sports physical. I need to know that you can run and jump and swim and crawl and climb, because that's what the show is. It's very physical. On top of being mental, it's very physical as well. I don't want you having a heart attack on me. You have to have a mental evaluation. I need to know that you're psychologically fit to take care of this, because again, we don't want to harm anybody. And I don't want you to have any kind of crazy trigger that might put you in a spot that you didn't realize you were going to be going to in your head. We don't want that to happen. So mentally, physically, you need to have medical insurance. So that means you're going to have a job. So you, in case you are injured, we can take you to a hospital and you can have medical care. Okay. You have to go through an actual screening requirement with my admins. They'll sit down with you and talk with you for about an hour, go over a whole gamut of things to find out whether you would be a good candidate for the tour. Okay. So those are some of the basic things you have to do. And, again, a good clean record, nothing, that's part of the background. You're not going to be a felon trying to get in here. I'm looking for intelligent people with good common sense who know, this is really important, who understand that this is a game. It's just like Saw. It's a game. It's not reality. It's a game. No one's going to kill you. You're going to come out alive. You're going to be okay. But we want people who take this the right way, that this is entertainment, people. It's entertainment. Okay. You're not going to be tortured inside. You're not going to do this and do that. All these crazy things that you hear. This is just fun and games. And that's why that's challenging. I mean, I can say it's fun and games, everybody, but it's challenging. And there's a reason why nobody has ever gotten through, because it's very difficult. But that's why people come back time and time again, because it is so much fun to do, especially the San Diego show. I mean, sorry, the Tennessee show. San Diego, not so fun. Yeah. San Diego show was pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay, so those are the basic requirements. But in that movie, And Then There Were None, you need to watch it. If you're even thinking about taking the tour, it's a mandatory thing that you watch And Then There Were None at Mckamey Manor Presents. The first part, again, is in black and white. It's going to talk about the rules, what it is, what it's not. And then the second part will show you everybody, I mean everybody, up to 2 years ago when I made the movie, who's actually taken the tour, and it shows how it ended for them. That's super important. Now, if you're saying, yeah, I'll say I watched it, but I'm not really going to watch it, I will quiz you. I will ask you one question and one question only. If you cannot answer that question, which you would be able to very easily if you really watched it, I'll know you didn't watch it, and I'll say, bye-bye, go someplace else, because I need you legally to understand what you're getting into. I don't want to have it fly back at me and say, oh, I didn't know any of this stuff. Well, that's why I made that movie specifically. Okay.
Right.
Now, once you do that, if you still want to take the tour, you then need to get into the special Mckamey Manor closed group. Now, this is important. There's hundreds of Mckamey Manor pages on Facebook. There's a bunch of Russ Mckamey pages who are faking to be me. I'm the only one that's real. I've got a blue check mark. I'm certified. Okay. I'm a certified guy. There's only one real Mckamey Manor page. It's called Mckamey Manor Official. If you are in another Mckamey Manor group, our people will know that, and you will not ever get into our side. Okay. Because it's real easy to find out if they're a hate group. As soon as you're in there, you can see by common sense, you can see that these sites are hate groups. So if that's the case, and you're in there, and we find out about it, and we will find out about it because Facebook keeps a ledger of the groups that you're assigned to, or you're a part of, or you were a part of. So we'll know. Stay out of them, folks. Stay out of them. Now, once you're into the Mckamey Manor closed group, you need to answer all the questions and answer them specifically and answer them completely. If you leave anything out, they'll automatically say no. Our admins are tough. I'm not going to lie to you. They get thousands of requests a week to get into the group, and they don't play around. If you don't answer the questions, they just say goodbye. He didn't follow directions. Like I tell everybody, attention to detail is paramount. It's huge. Attention to detail is a big deal. If you don't have attention to detail, I don't want you taking a tour, because you're going to end up getting hurt. And I don't want you getting hurt. Okay. So once you're in the group, let's say you're in the group, you're in that closed Mckamey Manor official group, you then want to contact our admins, and they will set you up for a screening, and then let the dice fall where they fall. Okay. We'll see if you do the screening properly, if you get in, and then we'll set you up for a tour. It's as simple as that. So in saying all that, you can see that it's not easy to get in. Right. So all these people who think I just drag people off the street and throw them in, that's insane. You have to really, really want to take this tour. You have to really put some serious effort and money, because you need to get that medical evaluation. You've got to put money, and you've got to really want to do this. I'm not making anybody do this. They want to do this. And that's kind of the way it works.
Well, there you have it, folks. If you think you got what it takes, if you think you got the testicular fortitude, so to speak, follow those steps, and, maybe you can get in here and try your luck. Now, you spoke a little bit about the California one, or San Diego one. That was a little bit rougher. Was it the guys you had in there that were a little bit more hands-on? Is that kind of what the difference was?
Yeah, you would get beat up pretty good. I'm not gonna lie to you. You'd get physically tossed around, and yeah, it was pretty rough. If you mouthed off to them and stuff, they'd be all over you like,
oh yeah,
like stuff on flies, right? They'd be all over you, right? So, yeah, it was much rougher. That's why this is a more kinder, gentler show now. So for you folks that don't want to be manhandled, who don't want all that roughness, the Tennessee show is exactly what you want, because nobody is going to lay a hand on you ever. We're going to be there. We're going to make sure that you're safe the entire time. We're going to monitor you going through all the different activities and the different stunts, and to make sure you're safe. That's our job. We're the safety team out there. So if you're looking for a crazy cinematic live your own horror movie experience, the Tennessee one is right up your alley, but you're not going to get destroyed physically.
Now, on that one, was that where y'all shot? It was, I think it's like a 5-minute YouTube, but it followed people going through. Was that shot at the California location? I'm pretty sure it probably was. I think you posted it on your page not too long ago, maybe a week ago. It was actual footage of people going through. They were yelling, they had blood all over them. I think one of them had a egg or something shoved in his mouth or something like that.
Oh yeah. Those were, I posted some old trailers.
Yeah, trailers. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. I posted some trailers for the old shows. And that one with the egg, that was the video that started it all.
Yeah.
There's like probably like 50 million views on that video. It's crazy.
Wow.
So that video, you're talking about, is the one that got everybody buzzing about Mckamey Manor. Yeah, it was a 5-minute video. I know exactly what you're talking about.
The eggs alone about made me start gagging. Is that some sort of a rule? Are you not allowed to throw up in there? Because I got to think you just can't. That's a natural reaction to having a rotten egg shoved in your mouth.
Oh, you can throw up, but if you throw up, since we're very clean at the manor, if you throw up, we don't want throw up vomit on the floor. So you're going to pick that throw up and you're going to eat it, my friend.
I need another
You're going to eat your vomit. Because again, we don't want on the ground. We don't want anything on the floor, right? So keep it to yourself. If you're going to vomit inside your mouth and you'll be fine.
Oh boy. Well, so
let me tell you, there's one thing that we serve people. It's called Balut. Do you know what Balut is?
I do not. I've never heard of that.
So first off, everything we serve you is a delicacy somewhere. It may not be a delicacy in your world. You may not find it at McDonald's, but it is a delicacy someplace. So Balut is a delicacy from the Philippines. And I learned about this when I was in the Navy and I would travel to the Philippines. So it's a big duck egg that it gets buried in the ground and the embryo is still in the egg itself. Okay. So the chicken, the dead chicken is still there inside the egg, with the bones and everything. So it's fermented into the ground for several weeks, and it's a delicacy. They love Balut. Now, I think it's the nastiest thing in the world, but you're going to eat. It does sound like it, but you're going to eat Balut. You're going to eat this chicken and crunching on the bones, and yeah, you're gonna have a little Balut, and you'll have like 1,000-year-old eggs, which aren't near as bad as Balut, but yeah. So you'll have all kinds of wonderful delicacies from around the world. You'll be very worldly after your tour at Mckamey Manor.
Oh, Maron. Okay.
Getting hungry, aren't you? Getting hungry. I know you are.
Yeah, I think my appetite. I just lost my appetite, as a matter of fact. So I gotta ask, and is it the guy you mentioned earlier who has made it the longest in Mckamey Manor? I've got to know, because I might want to shake that individual's hand if he's still got one.
Well, it depends upon which version. There's like the Mckamey Manor old school version from San Diego. That person, her name.
Whoa.
Well, let me set the record straight right now. Without a doubt, 100%, the women do better than the guys. 100%. The women are much tougher than the guys taking the tour. Not even, no question about it. The women are tougher by far. So a woman named Sarah Parsons lasted 6 hours during and her movie is there too. If you go to Mckamey Manor Presents, you can find Sarah Parsons. Her movie is under the Essentials. I have a file of movies called the Essentials, and her movie is in there. And then there was, after after that, there was the chamber, and there was extinction and desolation and the abyss. So there's been a lot of different things, but she has been the overall longest person ever to handle the manor. Normally it's, a few minutes here and there.
Yeah.
People last for a couple of minutes. They last for maybe 5-10 minutes and call it quits.
Yeah.
Because
the one that I seen, the guy on the Travel Channel, the guy doing the interview did the tour,
yeah.
and I think he lasted 5 minutes.
Yeah. Poor David. David didn't even get to the tour. He just,
I don't think he made it to the tour. I think he got put in a van or something pretty close to the beginning, and he didn't make it very far.
Yeah, he was the contract alone scared him, and that was it. So that was it. And then let me say though, it's the reason why it's more difficult in Tennessee is because now you have a safe word.
Right.
Remember,
that was going to be what I was getting into next, was how do you get out of this if it's too much? So yeah, go ahead and elaborate on that.
I'll elaborate. In San Diego, the reason why people were really up in arms about everything is because we did not allow a safe phrase. But remember though, that's what they signed up for. Mm-hmm. In the contract, it states several times, like, you really don't want a safe word? You really don't? Nope, I don't. You keep going, Russ. No matter what happens, you keep going. Push me until you say it's time to go. And this is in the contract several times. And so you do that, but then people get into a stressful situation and they rethink what they wrote real soon. Like, oh, that wasn't a good idea to have that in there, but it's too late. It's already in there by then. But in Tennessee, you do have a safe phrase. Or if you just tell me at any time it's over, you're done, you quit, then the show is over. That's it. So, but that makes it more difficult for the contestant. And the reason being is because when you control your own destiny in your own hand, and you have that easy way out if you need it, 99.9% of the people will take that easy way out every single time.
Yeah.
If you take away that safe phrase and you don't give them that opportunity, then they have no choice but to go on and go further, right?
Right.
But if you give them a safe phrase, they use it. Yeah. And that's the problem. But I have to. Out here, I was told by the district attorney, you better have a safe phrase, or I'll lock you in jail. He said his exact words were, if half of what I'm seeing is true on these movies, I'll have you in jail for 5 years. And if you keep anybody beyond their will, meaning that if they say they want out, if you don't let them out, I'll lock you away for another 5 years on top of that. So I knew exactly where he was coming from. So I adjusted the show accordingly, which actually I adjusted it even before he said all that. Right. But I'm not stupid. I'm going to you need a safe phrase? Not a problem. We'll give you a safe phrase. So yeah, so you can get out anytime you want to. And it makes it too easy to quit. And that's what they do.
So you had to meet with the DA right off the bat.
Oh yeah.
So were you welcomed with open arms down there by a portion, or was it kind of like, oh hell, here he comes, bringing the San Diego Extreme Haunted House here to Tennessee?
Oh my God! As soon as I got here, Scott Franks, which is the county commissioner, wrote up this massive petition, hate letter, to get us out of town. They tried everything to run us out of town. I had death threats, assassination threats. They were going to Southern justice me. They were going to do everything and anything they could think of. You can't imagine how many death threats I still get. I still get them constantly. And, via email, via my websites, I get death threats constantly. So no, I was not welcome with open arms. It was the opposite. They were going to do everything they could to get me out of here. They tried to get me on zoning and coding. They brought down all the authorities from Nashville. They brought down the entertainment people from Nashville. Even though I'm not doing this for money. This is a private a private property type of situation, it didn't matter. They said, nope, it doesn't matter because you're too well known. We're going to treat you like we would treat Disneyland. I said, but I'm on private property. I'm not making money with this. Doesn't matter. You're too big. Wow. And so they tried everything they could to shut me down. So they came in, inspected everything, all the traps, all the stunts, everything. And there were things I had to change. I had to change quite a few things. And I did. They came back out and re-examined everything and said, okay, you did what we said to do, so continue on. But they tried everything. They even tried to indict me with the grand jury. And they were going to do that because I had people in the law enforcement community that I know who told me what was going on. And they were going to use my movies to indict me with the grand jury because they knew that if a peer of my if a peer of the folks here, my peer, so my peer, so to speak, who lived out here, if they saw the crazy movies that I made, they would go guilty, 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 guilty. And so they tried to do that, and then thank goodness the judge was like, no, we're not going to indict him on movies that he made 5 years ago. Not even here in Tennessee. And we don't know
what kind of charge could that even be. What kind of charge could that even be? I don't even.
Oh, well, if you look at the movies, you could say there's people being held against their will, which there were, I guess. Even though they signed up for that.
Yeah.
And that's the part you don't see in the movies. I don't show that part in the movies where they're begging me to stay in, where they're begging me not to let them out. I wouldn't show that because that ruins the flow of the movie, of course. Right. But clearly I know what I'm doing, and clearly I'm not going to put myself in any jeopardy. Right. And if somebody really needed to get out, obviously we let them out. Right. So.
Yeah, that's a hairy line there to cross, because technically it is very easy to commit kidnapping and not even realize that you're doing it. I've had people that I know of, they having a fight and the guy didn't let the girl leave the house just because he wanted to kind of talk things out. And she wound up calling the law, and they almost got him on a kidnapping charge, because if you hold somebody against their will, it's real easy to get that charge thrown. But it seems like to me, man, people should know what they're getting into with this haunt. Now, maybe not so much at first when it first started gaining steam, but especially now with everything that you can go and see and look through, you're not signing up to go to a haunted house that you're going to carry your 9-year-old son through and act like you're the protective father and watch him be. This is some serious shit right here. You're talking losing teeth, cutting hair. You mentioned earlier insects. I go ahead and tell you that the roaches and scorpions, the roaches just give me the willies, man. You got you got snakes too? Snakes in there?
Oh yeah. Lots of big snakes. Yeah.
I'm assuming they're not poisonous.
Well, I'll leave that to I'll neither confirm nor deny, but I can tell you, like, scorpion, he's poisonous.
Yeah,
And the spiders we use, they're poisonous. So don't be getting all rough around them. I tell you, when you're in the cage with 40 different tarantulas, don't be moving around all crazy. Don't be getting all spastic in there. Just be calm. Let them crawl around you, and they'll be fine, and you'll be fine. Same thing with the snakes. When you got snakes around you, don't get all spastic and get all nutty, and they'll be just doing their own business. The ones that are most irritating are the rats and the mice, believe it or not, because you'll be in one. It's called a rat race. In rat race, at one point, you're going to have this plexiglass box that you're going to pull down on, and you're going to get thousands of field mice covering you completely, 4 feet deep. And they're going to be all inside your clothes, and they're going to be hanging with you the rest of the tour.
Oh.
And to me, that's gross.
Yeah, probably a fucking lot of people would say that's gross. Oh,
that's
man.
Gross to me.
So you're talking about the guys that put this all together. I mean, this can't be cheap, to put
No.
together. But you're not doing this for the money because you're not charging people to take this tour still. Is it still just a donation currently?
Yeah. Yeah. Just still a
So
bag of dog food.
so you're doing this and the people helping you, you're basically doing this on the arm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Well,
just, I do it for entertainment. It's always been entertainment. It's always been, I've just wanted to put on the best show ever for the
right.
fans. So I take the fans real serious. So when they come through, I want to give them a show like they've never had in their life. It's important for me to hear them when they walk out like, man, Russ, that was mind blowing. And then it's like, all right, I did my job. Cool deal.
Well,
But it's never been about money. Never.
I can say right now that because you said that, and because, I've listened to you talk, I can see how passionate you are about this. That lets me know that there's thought into every single aspect of what you're doing, because when it comes about money, it changes. Things change, people change, other things change. And if you're doing this strictly because it's your passion and you love it and you want them to have that experience, then you know what you're going into is genuine. And I mean, that's not to say there isn't good haunted houses that, charge money. It's a business, but you can just tell what you've got going on here at Mckamey Manor is just a little bit different in a good way.
Yeah, it is. And everybody clearly knows what they're getting into. Right. I mean, you even can find the part of the old contract online. People stole the old contract and put it online. I don't care.
Yeah.
It works to my benefit because people read that and go, holy crud, what? And they're freaking out already and haven't even come and see me yet. So it all works out.
I know you said in Tennessee you had some haters and some detractors there. I'm pretty sure they're all over the place, but I mean, you know what? They can go take a hike because people know what they're getting into. If they really wanted to scare you, they'd force you to watch a Tennessee Volunteers game on a Saturday. That'd probably scare the hell out of me.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Well, I mean, it makes no sense to me why you would have this group of people or the haters that make these Facebook groups just to, go against what you're doing. Obviously, the people that are doing this, they know what they're doing. They want to do it. They're signing up for it. This isn't easy. Like you said, this isn't just going, oh, hey, I think I'll go do Mckamey Manor on Saturday at 5:00. There's some steps into this shit. So what you're doing. You know how far you're going, especially now you're getting physicals and everything. I mean, it shouldn't be a shock. And then, like you said, you got your 40 to 50 page waiver. So after you do all that, you damn sure ought to know what you're getting into for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Before you take a step in the hunt, you signed everything, everything. At that point in time, if it's not your cup of tea, then you back out and say, no, I'm not doing it. And a lot of people do that. They go, nope, not for me. So they know. And all these hate groups, they're people who've never even been here. They've never even met me. They know nothing about me. And they put out these horrible rumors and stories. They know nothing about what reality really is. And that's the upsetting part. But that's what they do. That's what they do. And they're obsessed about me. They are absolutely obsessed about me. It's incredible.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, we're running out of time here. What part of Tennessee are you at with this haunt? What town?
The biggest place next to me is Lawrenceburg.
Lawrenceburg,
yeah.
Okay.
So if you're in that area, Google it, know where you're at. Lawrenceburg is where I'm next to.
What's some of your handles on social media where they can find you if they're interested? If you got the balls, folks, or I guess the men ain't doing so hot. Women, if you got what it takes, where can they find you at?
Okay, so the best place to do it is actually, well, a couple things. Facebook is excellent. You can follow me on Facebook. Just find me, Russ Mckamey. I'm always on live. I go live 8,000 times a day.
Yeah.
And then, you know what I mean? About doing just whatever.
Yeah.
But come on, join in on the conversation when I'm live, and then we can get you started up right there. You can find me there. You can go to the Mckamey Manor closed group. on Facebook, which we talked about. Remember, it's called Mckamey Manor Official.
Yep.
That's the only one. Let me say this again, folks. If you are in the other Mckamey Manor, and there's thousands of them, pages or people that are faking to be me, if you're in those groups, you'll never, ever take a tour. You'll never, ever get into the official page. And the official page, that's where you can watch the live feeds. You can watch people taking the tours on the official page, Mckamey Manor Official. The other place is go to mckameymanor.com, and you'll find a phone number there. You'll find all the information you need to reach out to me. There's a sign up list right there you can fill out and fill that, so those are the best spots right there.
Well, there you heard it, folks. If you think you got what it takes, if you want to give this tour a go ahead and hit Russ up. I'm sure he can get you squared away and get you stepping in the right direction. Best of luck to you. I happen to like my teeth. I like what little bit of hair I got left, and I hate mice and cockroaches. So I'm going to just be that guy on the sidelines cheering for you and hoping you get that 10 grand, even though I doubt you'll fucking get it, to be quite honest. Russ, man, I'm glad we was able to do this. I've been hounding you to come on and do it. I know you had reservations because there's so many people that are trying to take away from what you're doing. I hope this kind of shines a better light on things and lets people know what you're really about, what you're really doing this for. And you can tell, listen to this, or at least I can tell, that you're passionate about it. Is something that you've been doing for a while, and you're doing it for the experience, not for the money. So I wish you well and success going forward. Good luck to anybody doing this damn tour. And
that's right.
And I'm glad we could get this done, man. We appreciate you stopping by the show.
All right, brother. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Folks, that was Russ Mckamey. I am Hollywood Wade, and unfortunately, we are out of time. See you next time on Crime and Entertainment.